put so much into helping my husband build his career, build his business. What happens when I leave him? If this is what you're thinking, you're not alone. A lot of women contemplating divorce think the exact same thing. My name is Christopher Bruce. I'm a board certified divorce lawyer in Florida. And the reality is a lot of women in this day and age have a period of the marriage where they are putting their husband or putting their family before their own interest. Instead of building their career, building their business, they make sacrifices to help their husband get ahead in his career while they possibly support him in his business or help raise the family, oftentimes both. If this is you, you're going to find this video helpful. I'm going to help you understand what are the most important things you need to be aware of as you approach the divorce process. I'm going to help you know what are the most important things you need to be aware of on your divorce journey. One of the big things you need to know if you've spent a lot of time helping your husband build his career or build his business is alimony and how it might apply to your situation. Alimony, which is also called support or maintenance in some places, is designed to correct the inequality. Your husband possibly spending decades building his career, while you've spent decades supporting him in his career or helping build the business without having income to show for it. I'm going to take you through the basics of alimony, but you should know there's a link in the description to our complete alimony overview video, about 20 minutes, that does a real big deep dive into all the nuts and bolts of alimony. Also, there's a link to the alimony calculator on my law firm's website that calculates a lot of the things associated with the maximum amount of alimony and how long it can be paid for. Alimony basics, though. For your husband to pay you alimony, there needs to be two things. You have to have a need, number one, for financial support after the divorce, and number two, he has to have the ability to pay it. How do you know if you have a need for financial support? Well, you add up all of the expenses you're going to have after the divorce, and then you look at the income that you're going to have after the divorce when everything is said and done. And if those expenses are greater than your income, you have what's called a need for alimony. Now, does your husband have the ability to pay that alimony? Sometimes he might, sometimes he might not. The way you figure out whether he has the ability to pay, big picture, is looking at what his income is after the divorce and what his reasonable expenses are, and determining whether he has the ability to pay money to you after looking at those things. In many cases, when my clients' husbands have their own business, when they are a professional like a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, their husband is going to have the ability to pay alimony. Particular note for those of you married to a business owner, your husband's income isn't going to be exactly what it says on the tax returns. There's going to be an analysis done of all of the benefits that you and your husband derive from the business, such as if the business is paying for a vehicle or the business is paying for vacations or for part of the home expenses. Businesses pay for all kinds of different expenses of the owners and their families that can often be legitimately written off for tax purposes, but these expenses are added back in determining your spouse's income during the divorce. This can be kind of a tedious process to go through, but it's the thing that an attorney with a financial background, such as myself, paired with a really good accountant, can get to the bottom of quickly, because a lot of our cases involve this type of thing. So for many of you that have stayed home to support your husband in building a business, building his career, you're going to want to find out if alimony is going to apply to your divorce. The second big concept you should understand is how is the money divided in the divorce? Because even though your husband may have built his career or built a business, it doesn't mean that you don't get anything out of it. Many of my clients find that, believe it or not, their husband's been half working for them the entire marriage. I say this because you're going to be entitled to half of the marital assets in the divorce at a minimum. So all those years when you've been supporting your husband so he can go out and earn that hopefully high income or build that business, he has been creating an asset that you're going to equally divide with him in the divorce process. There are certain limitations of this. You're not getting half of his law license. The business may go to you, it may go to him. The point is, though, out of the marital assets that have accumulated because of his career or business, you're going to get at a minimum half. I say at a minimum because in Florida, the division of assets allows the judge to look at the equities, basically determine, is it fair that you only get half? Should you get more than half? The judge can really look at all of the circumstances, and in some cases, if the judge has a good reason, they can give you more than half of the assets. It doesn't happen all the time. You need a good reason, but it is something the judge can do. If there's a business involved in your divorce, the top 3 things are going to be: how do you value the business, who gets the business, and what if you're working in the business? So how do you value the business? This can be a complicated subject, but the short answer is you'll usually end up getting an accountant to come in and come up with what's called a net book value of the business. Your eyes might be glazing over when you hear these terms, but most businesses are valued in a divorce based on what they're worth according to the business balance sheets, with a couple of different adjustments. There's some exceptions to that, especially if the business is part of a franchise or has what's called enterprise goodwill. Take a look at the link in the description for how businesses are valued if you want to learn more about that topic. So who gets the business? That's another big one. I'll give you the annoying lawyer answer: it all depends. The default law, at least in Florida, is that a judge should not leave 2 spouses as co-owners of a business after a divorce. That said, there's nothing keeping you and your husband from coming up with a financial settlement agreement that keeps you both owning part of the business if that's what you really want. But think about it. I mean, is that really the best thing for you? If you don't want to be married to this person, it's usually a just completely awful idea to still be in business with them. I've got a bunch of clients who could tell you the same thing, that tried to stay in business with their spouse after the divorce, and it almost never ends well. So who gets the business if one person has to receive it? Well, it depends on the type of business. If the business is really just a professional practice, such as a law firm or a medical office, something that requires a professional license, then usually the spouse that has that professional license is going to keep the business in the divorce. It doesn't mean, though, that the business isn't valued. You're going to be compensated for the value of the business that your spouse is keeping through you getting more of other assets. Then there's the issue of what if you work in the business that you're likely not going to keep. A lot of my clients are wonderful people that have been married to doctors or to lawyers or to engineers that had small engineering firms, law firms, medical offices, and they pretty much ran the office to make everything possible. This worked out great during the marriage because there was no need or less of a need to pay other employees to do what my client could do. But when it gets to the divorce, it's the problem, because if the marriage is going bye-bye, if you're working in your husband's business and you're not going to keep it and he is, you're going to have to find something else to do after the divorce practically. Look, is it possible that your husband could keep you employed in the business when the divorce is over? Yes, but a couple practical problems. First, why would you want to do that? If your marriage has run its course, if it's an unhealthy relationship, it sure seems like a terrible idea to be going to work every day with the man you're not going home with. Number 2, you can't count on your husband keeping you employed. If you have a settlement agreement that says you're going to be able to keep working in the business, your husband can go and fire you down the line, and it becomes very, very messy to unwind that situation. The best practice, if you're working in your husband's business during the marriage, is to make plans to not work in it after the divorce. So I know what you might be thinking if this is you. Hey, how am I going to pay for everything? Well, that is where alimony comes in. It is supposed to be the thing that helps you meet your expenses after the divorce if you're not going to keep working in the business. Usually the alimony calculation will take into account what you could earn working elsewhere. But a lot of my clients find that it isn't as much as they might have been paid working in the family business. So alimony, in theory, is supposed to make up that difference so that you can afford your after divorce expenses. So I got to go on a little off the script rant here. If you're married to somebody that has a business or they've done well in their career, you're probably hearing this and thinking, look, this does not sound fantastic. This doesn't sound fair. And quite frankly, I agree with you. What practically I see is that my clients don't fully get compensated for the fact that their husband has made an outstanding career or has grown an outstanding business. It always seems to be the case with the way the laws are here in Florida that you are giving something up, at least a little bit. But you know what? The mindset I've come to view this through is there is no free lunch. What you want is to get out of this relationship that's making your life sometimes a living hell. You need to be healthy. You need to be happy. And to get there, The reality is you're probably going to have to give up on a little bit. Don't get me wrong, my firm viciously, aggressively litigates in our South Florida divorce courts, but the law only allows so much. Odds are you're never going to feel like in the divorce process that you've been completely made whole for the work that you've put in as a supportive spouse. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can deal with that, the easier it is to finally move on from a relationship that's really overall holding you back in life. So what do you do with all this? My advice to you is to take some time to think about what you would want in your life to make yourself happy, and look at why is that not occurring in your marriage? Could you improve upon things in your life so that you could stay happily married? And if the answer to that is no, start making your plans to get divorced. Get organized, make the best of it. We have lots of free resources for you. One of the great ones is the Women's Guides to Getting Organized for the Divorce. We have other books, Control Your Difficult Divorce, or How to Divorce Your Controlling, Manipulative, Narcissistic Husband. A lot of our clients identify with that in their relationship. These books are all available for free at divorceinformationbooks.com. See the link in the description. Start learning about the process. Figure out what you might be entitled to in the divorce. Get an idea of your vision for your better life, for your best life. And then once you've done that, go talk to an attorney. Get your questions answered. Talk to the attorney about the things that are keeping you up at night. If the attorney knows what they're doing, if they just do marital and family law all day long like I do, they should be able to give you answers that put you at ease, and more importantly, they should be able to give you a plan for what you do next. If you're doing that and you don't like what you're hearing, go get a second opinion. You probably should talk to a couple of attorneys, and once you have, you're going to take the advice from the different people and come together with a real action plan, steps for what you need to do to move yourself forward. And another thing I've learned in counseling women through all of this stuff for now over 15 years is if you want to see change in your life, you have to take action. If you don't take action, you won't see change. The great thing about taking action, even if you don't pursue the divorce, is it's going to make your life better. So if you do anything out of all of this, take some action now to start making your life closer to where you want it to be. Get some quick wins. The progress is infectious. It's really encouraging. It's the empowering type of thing that you need to keep going and have that life that you want to be living. So tell me what you think about this. I'd welcome your feedback in the comments. We try to get back to the comments. Subscribe if you'd like more of this type of information. We put it out regularly. Also, check out the links in the description. There's a bunch of stuff that we've developed for free to help you on your life improvement and possibly divorce journey. Check it out. It's there to help you. If you're at the point of where you want customized legal advice for your situation, consider getting in touch with my law firm. One of my partners can sit down with you. We practice law in Southeast Florida. Most of our clients are between Vero Beach, south to Miami. We're continuing to grow, so if you see this in a few years, we're probably in a few other places across the state. I hope this has been helpful. Until next time, I'm Chris Bruce. Thanks for watching.